First of all, I wanted to thank IFHP for this initiative. We have also this Media Lab participation, and of course, Marcos will talk us about the relationship between Media Lab and smart cities and the project that they are doing here and at Media Lab. But first of all, IFHP is performing many things, and I will start with a short video.
The International Federation for Housing and Planning is a network of professional institutions and individuals in the fields of housing, urban development and planning. It was founded in 1913 under the presidency of Ebenezer Howard, famous for his publication Garden Cities of Tomorrow, an ambitious plan to unite the then rapidly growing industrial cities with the countryside, ensuring healthier urban living. Proposed solutions have changed, but its focus has always been to understand the most salient urban development issues of its time. 100 years later, IFHP continues to stand out in visions and strategies for sustainable development. It organises diverse activities and creates opportunities for the international exchange of knowledge and experience. In 2013, 3.2 billion people live in cities and urban areas. By 2030, that number is predicted to be 5 billion. Improving cities today requires that we face many challenges, but fortunately we have a wealth of knowledge on which to draw. New technologies are invented and existing technologies improved every day. Investing these in today's cities will shape tomorrow's, but shaping the future for cities will take much more than a technological fix. IFHP believes engaging diverse, professional, private and public interests to be the best way to positive and sustainable development of housing and urban environments worldwide. For the sake of this engagement, the following 7 agendas are the foundation of an ambitious discourse on the creation of a sustainable tomorrow for cities. Today, cities around the world are exploring the potential of new information and communication technologies in urban planning strategies. IFHP spurs the sharing of ideas about smart cities, involving ICT companies as new players in urban development and sustainable behaviour.
Some ideas that I think that are very linked to the idea of a smart city behind IFHP and behind this dialogue. We all talk about this bubble that has burst, that we found that now real estate is not the same any longer. We find that the hardware, all the infrastructure that we have, it has a bigger size that we may need, at least here in Spain mainly, but also in Europe. And we find that we have a new environment, we have global crisis, we know that tools are changing. What it worked, it doesn't seem to work any longer. And at the same time, and from my perspective this is quite paradoxical, we found that there are plenty of initiative for the public and the private sector that they are around the concept of the city. We have Clear Channel, FCC, IBM, Indra, Ferrovial, ACS, General Electric, Acciona, Philips, Siemens, Toyota. They all seem to be around this new idea of smart. A smart city is all over. And we believe that, and I think this is the main idea behind this workshop, that announces a new way to manage cities. We find that now, as the IFHP video shows, sustainability, competitiveness, social cohesion are the main pillars of managing cities. We find that we were discussing about that before the panel, that now maybe this week we will be an Olympic city. We don't know if it will happen, but we don't know if we want to be it. We are wondering if this is a good thing. They will be spending more. We are not that ambitious now. We are wondering about care, about caring people, about social policies, not about hardware but about software. And we find, and this is from my perspective as a business school, very interesting, that this is a new corporate ecosystem around urban solutions. We find that there is a pressure on efficiency, that we have the same or less budget and we have to do the same things, as people from the City Council will let us know very shortly. I say that why do they call them a smart city when they mean low-cost city? I don't know if smart city stands at the end of the day for low cost, or is a smart city a new way of urban living? Is the city reacting to internet and to the digital world? Smart is all over. We have smartphones, we have smart cities, we have smart cars, we have smart. I love this quote from Descartes that say that intelligence is the best distributed thing in the world. When you ask cities what is an smart, what is an intelligent city, they say we are. When you ask organizations, corporations about if they are, what do, they say we provide smart services for smart cities. And that's because we are, as Descartes says intelligence is the best distributed city in the world. Everybody is happy with the intelligence they have, even if maybe it would be good having some more. No? And I think this idea of a smart city, behind this idea we have this idea of innovation. And this innovation for me, and I will stop with this and I will give the stage to the speakers, is around the idea of innovation. Two kinds of innovation. You know, this is Farnsworth House, this is Van der Rohe, and this is minimalism. And the motto is less is more. And now here, less is more. There is no other option. We have less. So it's our job to make less more. So I think the main value of this house maybe is that it's there, but it doesn't seem to be there. It's doing the same with the minimum of lines, with the minimum of on the more subtle way to do it. But at the same time, it's not only doing less with more, doing more with less that is important. And I think the smart city concept is behind this. It's also about doing things in a different way. I think this is a slide I love to show, that shows us the evolution of the men's high jump world record. And we find that in the 60s, there was something was happening. And what happened in the 60s is not that they train harder, it's not that they do more with less, but that they found that maybe a good idea doing things in a different way. And forward came and showed us to jump in a different way. So I think this afternoon at the table we have 4 people that will show us the way in which cities are doing things in a more effective way. I think efficiency is also a driver behind the concept of the concept of a smart city, but also doing things in a different way. So I will start with this, my quick introduction, and we have 4 participants. I think that we have a very interesting mixture, and we will start with Marcos García, as he is hosting the event, as he is the cultural manager of Media Lab Prado. Marcos has been the head of content development and coordination at Media Lab Prado between 2004 and 2007. He was responsible for the educational program of Media Lab Madrid. And he has participated, and he will share that with us, in many national and international forums on digital culture, Media Lab, and free culture, closely linked to the idea or to the concept of a smart city. So, Marcos, thanks for being here, and the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Gildo. I will try to present some ideas about an approach to smart cities, but from the perspective of the other part of the title of this meeting, which is the Smart Citizens, which is the idea that what new technologies, what information technologies are allowing nowadays is the possibility that people can organize themselves in order to build and participate in the construction of the city from a bottom-up perspective and not from a top-down planification perspective. And of course, there have been many debates around the concept of a smart city, and one of the most frequent is the idea that a smart city is still very linked to the centralized and top-down way of urban planning cities. And so that's why many people talk about smart citizens in order to to make a counterpoint to that perspective. So I wanted to start the presentation with this quote, which is quite general about cities. The polis was for the Greeks as the res publica was for the Romans. First of all, they're guarantee against the futility of individual life. So the idea that cities are places where we are together, where we live together, and being together means, in a way, that there are outcomes that go beyond what individuals separately can provide. And sometimes this has been called collective intelligence. So, of course, collective intelligence has happened many times, always. As long as a group of people get together, there might be some outcomes that may seem intelligent, right? And but also, at the same time, there might be collective stupidity, and so I was thinking about this idea when we talk about smart cities. That may mean, and that's why I find very problematic this term, the idea that the smart city is something that has never happened yet. It's always in the future. There are some smart solutions, but the smart city is not ready there. So it's a concept that condemns to stupidity to the whole history of humanity and the cities. So maybe that's why the company IBM changed the name at a certain moment and named the concept smarter cities instead of smart cities. So what is happening nowadays is that there might be a collective intelligence that might be new, that might be enabled through the internet. So the internet is allowing people to get together, collaborate, communicate, and may be enabling new ways of collective intelligence. And I think it would be interesting to take a look at this kind of relationships between people and see what really allows this collective intelligence and maybe what allows collective stupidity. So we have to take care of that. And I think, well, maybe the two most amazing projects, the internet itself, it's one good example of collective intelligence, but free software or Wikipedia are very good examples of how different people get together, form a community, and build a resource and make it sustainable through time and make it efficient. And efficient in ways that may be different from other perspectives. And this kind of projects have recovered a notion, a very old notion of the commons. And the commons are ways of human beings getting together, people getting together in order to manage a resource. They get together around the resource, maybe a forest, maybe a fishery, maybe a pasture, sometimes natural resources. And they are able to create the rules to access to this resource and make it sustainable. And this is something that has been recovered. This is a way of managing things that was lost, and now through the digital realm has been recovered. So it would be interesting to see if we can make this approach to cities as well. So the idea of going back from digital commons to new urban commons. So we have a lot of projects that go beyond the digital realm, the online realm, and take place offline as well. And this idea of the physical computing, the physical 3D printing, and the digital fabrication, the idea of the Internet of Things and the DIY networks of sensors, which is, again, we are approaching little by little to the city context. The idea of an infrastructure of geographical data that is managed like commons. We have new practices coming from the internet. They are called open space technologies, and these are new ways of organizing meetings where people get together to produce things like hackathons or write books or organize conferences in a way where anyone can become a speaker and not only a listener. We have amazing new projects, really big open infrastructures like Gifinet, a telecommunication infrastructure that is run as a commons, where users of the network are also owners of the network, and they maintain, they generate the rules of the infrastructure. These are examples that I think are pioneer of a model that may be really interesting in the future. We have practices in the online practices that are changing also the practices in the city, like, for example, the use of the bicycle, also by communities of people that may be only online communities, but they are developing an amazing knowledge about the city, about the mobility in the city, which goes beyond what any expert can really provide. We saw it before in the video, urban farming, how new urban farming and food are shaping. Food has always shaped the cities, but now it's shaping the cities again by coming back in the cities. And this is a very interesting phenomenon. And we have the combination of the squares and the social network tools like Twitter or Facebook, with the square, with the physical space. And we are seeing this all over the world. We saw it in the Arab Spring, we saw it here in Madrid, in the Occupy movement, in Brazil, in Peru, in Mexico, so everywhere. The ways people are protesting are different, and the logics of the protest have a lot to do with the logics of the internet, of the networks. So now we have internet citizen labs. The situation is revealing is the enormous distance, the enormous divide between the institutions that we have inherited and the practices of people. There is this distance which is quite problematic. And what we would like to propose from here is this idea of citizen labs, or these institutions that mediate between citizen practices and governments, or that enable a more fluid connection. So we think that there are many initiatives that are called citizen labs or labs, because there's a need of thinking of new kind of institutions that really incorporate the users as also co-producers of these institutions. So there are labs from market and companies approach, universities, you have citizen labs or from civic proposals. There's so many approaches. Some of them have more educational approach, more technological, others have a more artistic approach. And I would like to put some examples of how also all the institutions are becoming or are transforming their models and incorporating the participants more actively in their activity. For example, this project Quest to Learn, like thinking of a school that works more like a lecture, and the contents are linked to the projects that the students are developing. So there's no distance between the classroom and the lab. Everything is together. We have these examples of how libraries are transforming. So we go from a read-only culture to a read-and-write culture where users won't get involved and are also co-participants or co-producers. So the idea of the library also as a maker space or a hacker space where people are also developing projects, where in the library you have books as tools, but other types of tools that may allow you to make things.
Thank you very much, Marcos. I will just highlight a couple of ideas. I really love this idea of we're trying to think that technology and smart city is a bit the same, but it's true that, as you have highlighted, a smart city requires smart citizens, and you have presented quite a few very interesting initiatives on doing citizens smarter. Then we will move to the next presentation. Javier talks about smart city, but is also responsible from the public sector, and he is coordinator of the strategy for smart cities of Madrid City Council. So we'll have the opportunity to get to know what is Madrid doing to get in touch or to try to be an intelligent city.
I will give you a view of what was the City Council currently doing in the smart cities areas. The previous presentation was about a very experimental. They are exploring different ways of improving the way we live in the cities, how we use the city, how we live the city, how the city works. And this is very important because it's not easy to know which project could be more valuable to be implemented in a massive scale. If you think of Madrid, Madrid is like a super tanker, and it's very difficult to change the direction. So you have to have a very good idea where you want to go in order to fix the direction. So I will tell you now is about what we are doing now in Madrid. First of all, I would like to explain what we understand for a smart city. We are thinking in two levels. The structural part of the city, that is the document that explains what the city, the infrastructure of the city, I mean the urban planning, the city infrastructure, telecommunication, transport networks, and so on. That is the city master plan. This is a plan that is currently, the plan that is actually valid is from 1997, and the next one is scheduled on 2015. So this plan lasts more or less 20 years. What's the situation now? Madrid is already very smart. Madrid has many systems that already provide the control and command and control of the city remotely. We have a control center for transport, we have a control center for security and emergencies, we have a control center for street lights, irrigation, all the devices that are in the city that you can imagine are remotely controlled. So this is, let's say, the first step of a smart city, to remote control all the devices. We have also telehealth and remote care. So in this case, we are using technology to improve efficiency or to do things more cost effectively. At the end of the day, is to do things more efficiently. For instance, the integration that was performed after the terrorist attacks of 2004 in Madrid, we did an integration of security and emergency services, and this, as a result, as a spillover of this integration, we have a response time that is one of the best in the world. In Madrid, that is a city of 600 square kilometers, you can, the average response time is 5 minutes for emergency services. This response time would be impossible without this kind of services. So, what else? What can we do now, going further from this type of? Well, as I said, the focus is on problems. It's not technology. Technology is just a tool to solve the problems. So there are many possible solutions. It's very interesting what is in Media Lab that they are doing, and also what we are working with VVVA for smart city projects, because it's very important to explore solutions. We have an evolutionary line that is upgrading all the systems we have, because we have new devices, new technologies to be implemented. That changes slightly the way we do things, and we have revolutionary changes that, as Gildo said at the beginning, we change the way we do things in the city. And I'm going to explain one of the biggest paradigm changes we are doing now in city services. Well, what are the challenges we have now? Well, the biggest, I don't like to speak about crisis, but we are really in the middle. We have a very tight budget. We need to do the same cheaper, probably more with less money. So the cost reduction of city service is a key point of any smart city implementation in Madrid. This is a very important goal you have to have in mind. Second is to be more efficient. You need to have more information. You have to start from data coming from different sources. We are doing a project with BBVA for tourism management that tries to improve the knowledge we have of the people that are visiting Madrid in order to improve the services, in order to improve the marketing of the city. So it's very important to have better information of what's going on in the city. Other point that is important is to open information silos. We have to open inside out with Open Data project to give to the community the data that about the city that the municipality has. That is very interesting. This project traditionally the municipality was publishing a lot of information, but we have to move to publish this information in an electronic usable way. We published a lot, but it's not very usable. So we have to open this information to the citizens. But not only to the citizens, all big organizations such as the Madrid municipality, we are working in silos. Those who are working on urbanism doesn't talk to those that work on transport, and they don't speak with those that work on garbage collection. All big companies are, at the end of the day, they work. Everyone has specific goals, and the global goals are blurred in this thing. So we have to open information silos internally. Other drivers is mobile revolution. All the contracts we are doing that imply some service to the citizens are going mobile. Mobile payments for parking, mobile payments for bicycles. We are moving slowly, all the services we provide to the public to mobile. The last one is participation. The citizens of Madrid can participate with the city in a very structured way. I mean, you can send a letter to the city council to express your views on a certain topic, to propose some changes, but this is a very traditional way of doing participation. We would like to have more something similar to social internet, to have more fluent participation. These things are being implemented very slowly. This is the solution. The biggest solution we are implementing now is not as cutting edge as my colleagues will explain, the project they have. That is performance contracting. What does it mean? This means doing contract aggregation. Instead of having a lot of suppliers, we have to have less suppliers, bigger contracts, in order to reduce overhead costs. So this is a very important step. Second, the contracts will have service level agreements. The contractors will be paid based on the results of their work, not based on the resources they use to complete the work. So that's a big change. If they don't comply with the SLA, will have penalties. I will give you some figures on this. The contractor will be free to manage the service within the terms of the agreement. So they have the freedom to implement the technology they think is better, to organize the works as they want. The contractor takes the investment, so we will pay just the fee for the service, and they are long-term contracts. Here I haven't spoken about technology. We are using the technology and a new way of contracting the city services to get the same results, the same service level, but with a lower cost. And that is now is one of the most important goals of Madrid.
Thank you very much, Javier. I think thank you for speaking just in the same time, and I will highlight a couple of messages. First, this idea of this problem that I think all cities share of this silo approach, how difficult it is sharing information between different departments, and I'm also impressed about this performance contracting. The idea that there is no technology behind, but there is huge saving if we get to reorganize the way we manage the city. Thank you very much. It was a very inspiring presentation, and then we are going to hear Javier Murillo. Javier Murillo is head of urban analysis and at BBVA, and he's. I find that this innovation center of this bank is amazing somehow, because it's a bank that has decided, and I think this is a very powerful message, that the cities are a trend, a mega trend, and they are investing in how this trend is going to change the way we live, and of course, especially the way money moves around the world, but not only linked to the monetary flows, but talking about how global cities work from this perspective.
I would like to share you our vision of smart cities. It's a vision based on how to put data at the service of society. It's a citizen-focused vision of smart cities, because, in fact, the use of data is an oldest urbanism. There's nothing new here. The new thing is that now we have new tools to reach old aims, but these aims are to improve citizens' quality of life and to get environmental and economic sustainability and efficiency in our cities. The triggers are, of course, technology, but also all the stakeholders that can make the best with this new vision. And the general process is also old. It's not new, because in order to improve any system, first you have to read it. You have to read it, and to read a territory or a city, you need data. You need data to turn data into information, useful information. And afterwards, you will be able to use innovation to create new solutions and opportunities. The cities are complex spaces. Cities are complex spaces shared by different systems that you can read and improve. You can read the hydrologic cycle, for example, or the energy supply cycle, and improve it through many measures, as for example, smart grids and so on, or distributed generation. We also have the passenger mobility and the supply and waste logistics. These three are physical cycles, so they are quite easy to read. But from my point of view, the most complex of these systems are the interactions among governments, corporations, and citizens. But even in these non-material interactions, we are living a digital track that can be read. And this is where our bank plays a role and can make a contribution. Because we are dealing with a huge amount of transactions, 24 transactions per day. We can read this data, which are geolocated and time-ordered, and we can make analysis and turn this data into useful information for city managers to improve existing services and to create better services. But what for? And what can be done based on this knowledge? What can do the governments, entrepreneurs, retailers, citizens in general with this information? Let's see some examples. Urban planning decisions have a great influence on people's lives. For example, you as urban planners, you decide whether a new neighborhood will have commercial premises on street level or dwellings instead. And this is a decision very important in order to create lively spaces. But even if you use the proper proportion or ratio between commercial surface and residential surface, you can fail on your objective of creating a lively neighborhood. So, city managers have to play other levers in order to correct this situation, as for example, opening our regulations or tax policies in order to improve this. But how do you measure the success of these actions? How do you take the decision of locating a new mall, a new big commercial center in a neighborhood? It has a great impact on it. It has a great impact also on transport infrastructures. How are we taking these decisions? How can we enhance commercial activity? Any improvement in these fields will have great influence on employment. It counts as much as 29% in Spain. So let's take a look at some of the questions we are dealing with. For example, with transactional data, we can answer if a neighborhood is well balanced in terms of commercial services, compared with the general breakdown of its city or of its region. We can answer how self-sufficient is an area, where are my citizens spending their money or providing themselves with services and products, inside my city or outside my city. Where does main income come from? Local consumers or visitors? Or given a location, what kind of commerce has better chances of success regarding the demand in this area? We are dealing with geopositional data and time flow ordered chronological data. So we can analyze commercial footprints of a municipality, of a sector, of a specific shop or business. Why is people moving to one place to make consumption there? Which are their drivers? What kind of time cycles can we detect? Seasonal cycles. Which is the impact or the influence of an event? Or, for example, we can analyze area relationships. We can get to know what are the commuting cycles between a capital and its satellite towns, or which is the influence of urban refurbishment, or what is the influence of a new transport infrastructure. How do areas serve visitors? And does it change depending on the segment of people we are talking about? Does it change with gender, age, or purchasing power? This is a real example. This is a tool we have developed. And here we have selected leisure commercial sector. Here we can see where the cinemas, theaters, and museums of Madrid are. But this is a plain image, just a distribution. We can give a new dimension to this if we focus on spending patterns. If we see how people from Madrid are paying these facilities with their cards from Monday to Friday, this is the footprint we have. But if we change the focus and we focus on visitors from outside Madrid on weekends, you know how this footprint is changing. They are coming to the musicals in Gran Via, they are coming to the big museums, El Prado and Reina Sofía. These are two quite different images, and I hope someone can take interesting insights in order to improve their business management. Together with Madrid City Council, last June we have published a report analyzing tourism movements in the city. We have taken 2 years into account, 2011, 2012. We have compared, we have detected changes, and we have identified the main interests of tourists by nationality. We hope this time of reports or knowledge can help tourism managers to improve their performance. But we also have internal projects based on big data. You can imagine that it's quite easy to establish new parameters to measure or to decide whether to give credit access to an entrepreneur based not only on their business performance, but also on context data. Does this business fit its area? Is well located? Has it chances of success? So the idea is to provide more credit without taking more risk for the bank, of course. If you were a retailer, what do you really know about your customers, about your area, or about your sector? You have a very, very small view of these three things and its overlaps. For example, you don't know much about your customers in your area or your customers in your sector. You are quite blind about your customers in your sector and area. We are trying to provide them with this information in order to help them taking better decisions. Of course, business intelligence is not a new thing, but affordable business intelligence is indeed a very new thing, because formerly only big companies, big corporations were able to pay for that kind of analysis in order to help them taking all these decisions. And so this is our vision of putting data at the service of society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Juan. It's amazing what you do with all this big data, and I think that also reminds us that when you have all the information together, you can do very, very, very interesting things and get to know a lot about your business and the way people live in the cities. And then last but not least, we have Javier Creus. Javier Creus is founder of Ideas for Change, and is considered one of the strategists and more innovative thinkers on the collaborative economy, peer-to-peer networking, civil innovation, and the network society. He has been a strategic planner for many of the most creative Spanish agencies, and is an active member of the Open Knowledge Foundation and Escuela de los Commons. Thank you very much, Javier. When you want, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gildo, and thank you very much to the organizers. It's a pleasure being here and having such a different table to have a conversation afterwards. So my thesis is pretty much parallel to that Marcos made, and is that citizens are leading the way to smart cities. There are three institutions, there are corporations, there are the citizens themselves, and my vision is that what's really new and what's really going to change cities is citizens themselves. And what's that? If we open a little bit focus from the city itself, my impression is that the whole production system is changing. If we define any economical system by the different mixes, the different combinations of capital, of work, and resources that are available, we can see that all of them are changing at the same time, and that allows new combinations of value. Let's take an example. For example, capital. We all know money is not what it used to be. And what does that mean? It means that, for example, if you're searching for capital, you can go the concentrated way, and that's to look for traditional people who have capital or banks or whatever and ask for it, but now we have distributed capital. You can raise up to $3 million on Kickstarter for a project. So it's not concentrated capital anymore. We have distributed capital as well. We have alternative money. Think about Bitcoin. Think about time banks. Think about all these social coins that are emerging in cities. So it's not only official money, we have our other currencies with which we can play and invest and build capital upon. It's not only that, it's that capital has become universal. For example, this computer with which I could have made my presentation that you can buy for less than 1,000 euros at El Corte Inglés, it's very hard to know right now whether it's a capital good or it's a commercial good. Because when you look at very many organizations, it's just computers worth 1,000 euros, one parallel to the other. And it's not only more expensive, it's more universal in use, in the sense that if we in the table, we decide to start up a travel agency and we buy a computer each, and a printer and a fax or whatever we need, and we fail, with the same equipment, we can build an assurance company, and that's very easy to be done. While 100 years ago, if you were investing in building railroads or trains, and you missed your opportunity in that, it was very hard to move from car to car construction or to wood or whatever. So capital is quite different. Second, work is different. As Marcos has exposed, and I've seen Javier is trying to approach in a way, there's a new agent in society which is not only social agent, but it's an economical agent, and this is us. What's this collaborative citizen? This collaborative citizen is a new agent, it's a new person that share their data, their knowledge. They build a Wikipedia, for example, their assets, and they do it either for free, they do it for time, for money, for real money, or for other currencies. They do it out of will, and they're powered by trust. We're in the third age of the internet. First age, we could exchange data. Second age, that's the social internet, we could exchange media, look at my photograph, look at what I've written, look at my video. Third age, we're exchanging things. And we're meeting in reality. We're meeting face-to-face to exchange keys of apartments. We're meeting face-to-face to give out things we don't use anymore. So that's a collaborative citizen. It's still a fraction of population, but yet it's the people who are shaping the cities and who are giving speed to the cities in which we're living. Third, resources. We have many bits, but very few items. But we're learning things. We're learning, for example, we can produce abundancy. It's not about scarcity. We can produce abundancy of knowledge through Wikipedia. We can produce abundancy of applications through Linux. And we can use idle resources. It's not that capacity is stuck. Capacity is a flux right now. That's dynamic, and we've introduced time into the way we manage capacity. Citizens are way ahead, and they're already creating smarter cities here and now. And I'll try to explain how they're taking advantage of this new economy, of these new combinations that are possible, and what are we doing this, how are they doing it? They're doing three basic things, and that's the same that some entrepreneurial corporations and entrepreneurial institutions are making as well. So it's not only citizens, but it's citizens who are pouring and who are showing the way and opening the way. What do? First, they turn distributed asset into accessible services. They don't think goods anymore. They don't think ownership anymore. They think about providing services. They think about access. How do? It? They convert routers into Wi-Fi access. Think about phone. If you don't know what phone is, it's you share your home router. You open two routers within a router. One is public to other people, one is private for you. So you don't need to build new hotspots, but you just share what you have. From car ownership to car use, think about Zipcar. It's in New York, you know the story, but every shared car takes out of the street 12 cars. So if we ask ourselves, how do we design transportation from a city perspective? We should take in account that citizens themselves, they're pulling cars out of the street. And that's a big difference. From induced to gift, that's your deal. You gather with your neighbors, and whatever you don't use, you offer for free. for someone who might need it most or might give it a new use. You see how things change when you think from property from ownership to access, from goods to services. So that's the first change. Second change is by turning centralized transactions into peer-to-peer markets. When you change from cars to rides, you don't want to own a car, you don't even want to use a car, you just want to get a ride. So you look up in BlaBlaCar, and if you want to move from Madrid to Seville right now, I'm sure you'll find 3 people offering a ride to Seville for 30, 40 euros, living at 7, at 8, at 9. And trust has a lot to do in this market. We've built trust through social networks. We've built trust through the experience of creating things together. And now trust is a social coin on many of these peer-to-peer markets. From taxis to drivers, think about Lyft. Lyft is you put a big mustache onto your car and you drive to the city and you take passengers. Do you need a license? Well, that's another discussion. I guess we'll end up talking about legal issues and so on. I have my point of view on that. But the thing is, we need taxis for sure, but many citizens are taking their own cars and they're doing taxi service in another way. From patrols, who look at what's wrong and these emergency services and cleaning services and this 3 million contract every year, to informers, things like Fix My Street, done in community. When you see something's not working in the street or something should be fixed, you just post a photo. And government officials, but the public as well, get informed in the same way. Third way, citizens are leading the way to smarter cities by turning organizational capacities into support platforms. We don't need in many cases those big organizations just centralizing power and ways to do. We need organizations to become into platforms at the support of the diversity of capacity of citizens. So we can see things starting to do like this, changing from offices to co-working spaces like Cubic in Barcelona, from driving to reporting, street bumps or ways or the use of Twitter, Javier was talking to us about, or from demanding to providing. Smart Citizens is a project very similar to the air quality project Marcos told us about before. So we see is citizens taking the lead and organizations providing the platforms for citizens leading the way. So from my point of view, smart citizens are the new urban agent in our era. And my belief is, if we give them space and we make them participate, but not participate, but produce, and if we follow them, we can. Our problem now in our old continent is about growth. We're not in Asia, we're not in Africa, we're not in Latin America, it's about growth. There are 2 ways going about growth. One is growth in dimension, second is growth in asset turnover. I think that sharing apartments, sharing cars, sharing streets, it's a way to provide more value with less investment. Sharing routers is a way to provide turnover over the city. Second, we can make our cities smarter, and citizens are doing so by densifying personal relationships. And you might be, it looks funny, but there was an article published a couple of days ago that said serial killers disappeared with the internet. I'll try to explain myself. It's maybe, I don't accept it, it's a cause-reaction thing, but it's very interesting to see how trust has gone from people controlling the city rather than citizens having interactions among themselves. What we're seeing is that these new services, the third era of the internet, which is affecting the territory, is making citizens meet together and exchange goods and looking face to face. And at the same time, serial killers, it's just a joke, have gone down. Third, we can take advantage of diversity and productive capacities. To finish, in this new economical context, what we're seeing is that communities, group of peoples, can be more efficient, can beat corporations, can beat institutions that work in a centralized, planned way, on the one hand, that the difference that Javier was making between structural and operational is blurring, as most of the differences are blurring right now. And this change, I believe the economic change we're living and the emergence of this collaborative citizen is structural, is not just operational. And third, if you ever get the Olympic Games, which I wish you do, we can remember Barcelona Olympic Games being the Olympic Games of volunteers. I think Madrid could be the Olympic Games of co-producers, which is pretty much one step away. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Javier. It was a very interesting presentation. I think that we come to the beginning, the end lead us again to the beginning, that we are facing a new huge wave within the economy, within society. This new wave is related to internet, to digital world, and it's changing everything. And of course, it's changing the way we live and the way the cities are being managed and are being lived by us as citizens.